Morning, everyone. I'm on my town common about 3 miles from my house. Well, there are certain dates in American history that just stand out, and this is one of them. October 29, 1929, Black Tuesday, big crash at Wall Street, the beginning of the Great Depression. World War I ended in 1918. People didn't know the future, but they did know they wanted to spend after the austerity of the war. So here you see a photo of the assembly line. Henry Ford made this the way to make cars, and this becomes symbolic of the growth of the consumer economy in the 1920s, the roaring 20s. And people bought all kinds of things like refrigerators and radios, and they just were exuberant in their spending. And they also started buying stock. Now, there are lots of reasons to buy stock, and what seems to have happened in the 20s is people bought stock quite irrationally. They'd hear a tip and, oh, I guess I'll buy this stock. Another thing that was very irrational was the investment in Florida real estate and how thousands of people invested in land unseen, and then it went belly up. One thing, too, that characterized the buying of stock was you could buy on margin, meaning you used a little bit of your own cash, but then you borrowed the difference. When you sold your stock, you assumed you'd make a profit and pay it back. And that worked as long as the stock market went up. Another thing that happened in the 20s was the trend toward urbanization became clearer. And one of the issues during the Great Depression is how do you feed and take care of urban areas? Now, the wealthy were still buying things, but they had a disproportionate effect on the economy. So when they quit buying, it really hurt things. Now, one group that missed out on a lot of the prosperity in the 20s was rural America. There are a lot of reasons for this. And one group within that group that really hurt during the 20s and 30s were farmers. They had made a lot of money during World War I when they sold grain to the Allies, but now there was a depression in the farm economy, and that was a factor. The government attitude was laissez-faire, means hands-off. So the idea that the economy would just kind of run itself was very common. And this is unlike what happened before. So Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson were known as progressive presidents, where they saw the government should get involved in the economy. But from left to right, we have Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover. They were much more laissez-faire, very hands-off. So 1928, Herbert Hoover was elected. You can see from this map that he won big time. And people trusted Hoover. He had an engineering background. He seemed very solid, very conservative. And as the Hoover presidency began, the boom on Wall Street continued. People were just buying stocks right and left, and there didn't seem to be an end in sight. And the Federal Reserve, which had been established in 1913, saw this and raised interest rates, and this was one of the signs that maybe things are overheated. And then you've got what's known as Black Thursday, where the stock market really tanked. This is not Black Tuesday. This is 5 days before. And J.P. Morgan and other wealthy people actually publicly said they were going to buy stock. Now, this had worked in other panics before, but it didn't work now. And over that weekend, before our event, people were thinking about what to do. And when Monday the stock market opened, the stock market went down again. So that buying of stock very publicly that J.P. Morgan and others did didn't make any difference. And then our event happened Tuesday, October 29, 1929, Black Tuesday. Stock market took a big nosedive, and people didn't know what to do. And I think what strikes us today, and when we look at this chart, is it took almost 30 years for the Dow Jones to recover from where it had been. Imagine that, 3 decades. So when the Depression began, people went out of work, nobody knew the future, and one big question was, can democratic capitalism even survive?